Well, from politician to reality TV star, our next guest really has covered plenty of ground. He's the businessman turned politician with a pretty colourful past.
If you don't like it, off to the airport, don't worry about the volcanic ash, just get yourself out of town on a plane.
David Oldfield's political career kicked off in 1994 when he joined Tony Abbott's team. A few years later, a very vocal Pauline Hanson caught Oldfield's attention.
We must have one people, one nation, one flag.
The pair formed a unique relationship, leading to his jump from Abbott's staff to Pauline's. But after a tumultuous few years, David was eventually expelled from Pauline's party, leading to him forming One Nation New South Wales. Oldfield resigned from politics in 2006, but his time in the spotlight was far from over. David went on to become a radio host before learning some hard truths about Australia's Indigenous community.
There's just been too much BS about Aboriginality.
You have very little regard for our language.
I have no regard for it.
You have no regard for our language. We're never going to convince people like you.
He then appeared on Australian reality TV programs like Hell's Kitchen, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and The Real Housewives of Sydney.
I should have opened the Bollinger.
Really? He can be a pain in the at times, but so can I.
In February this year, David and his wife Lisa made headlines when their 18-year marriage came to an end.
Well, he's certainly never accused of being boring, and David Oldfield's new memoir, Before You Judge Me, covers everything in his colourful past, and we're pleased to say David joins us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
Now, it's often a momentous issue or occasion or event that triggers people to put pen to paper and write a memoir. Why you? Why have you chosen to write this now?
Well, I didn't actually think I'd ever be writing a book about myself, so to speak, though it's more than that, obviously. But no, I was actually approached by New Holland, the publishers, and they asked me if I would write a conversational kind of different sort of autobiography, and I was greatly flattered and set myself to it.
Is there a particular moment once you got to writing that stood out to you as a bit of a favourite memory or a favourite era?
Well, Tom, really, it kind of, as I was writing, I started to realise all the things I'd actually done. I mean, as you go through, so much life, and I'm relatively old, so as you go through...
come on, you are not.
As you go through so much life, and you have so many different types of careers, even though they were lengthy in themselves, there were things that I'd just entirely forgotten, quite frankly, and I got to what I thought was the end of the book and realised I'd entirely missed my youth completely, like growing up, and I thought, oh, better put that in,
You've been a young man for a long time, an old man for a young time.
An old man for a very long time, that's right, yeah.
So you've had, we covered that in the package, an interesting relationship over the years with Pauline Hanson, and you were quite integral in the formation of One Nation as well. You've shed light on it in the book itself. But in terms of lessons to be learnt, what have you taken away from your time with Pauline Hanson?
Well, I think the lessons are more in the sense of what Pauline has failed to learn. I mean, I've learned lots of lessons through life, but what I've really learned where Pauline is concerned, I suppose, is that it's a sad situation that people put so much faith in her. Now, the fact that she's there and she speaks out probably warms the heart of the people who support her, or the hearts of the people who support her, but there's not going to be much more come of that. So it's an interesting dynamic that she even really exists in politics and continues to do so. I've learned so many things, and the book is full of that. I mean, the book is, quite frankly, no exaggeration. There's nothing which has been in any way inflated. It's fact and truth all the way from cover to cover. It's been described as me being quite unkind to myself, so I certainly don't say anything nice about myself. I obviously cover Pauline and all of these sorts of things. I do understand that, and Tony Abbott, of course, I cover my time with Tony Abbott, radio, reality TV show, all of the things you did in your marvellous package just a few moments ago. And look, I understand Pauline's coming here to be with you guys in the not too distant future.
Well, she's going
to be a regular.
Appears on our segment What's Making News. Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, look, I've brought a book along so that she can actually have this. So I'll leave this one for you. And
do you think she might want to put it in the library?
I've put a little,
what have you written?
I've put a little sentiment in here, and I've written.
Would we call it a love letter, David?
Well, it says, to Pauline, I know you don't read much, but perhaps someone might read this to you, just as I used to once upon a time. Oh, I did write read twice. Oh, dear.
Oh, there you go.
There
My
you
own
go.
errors. And the book is full of all of my errors, and there's one on the front inside cover.
Do you think she'll put it in the library, or maybe just leave it behind here in the studio?
That might be
know,
down at
maybe
Vinny's
she'll-
next week, I think.
Bedside table, and someone can read it to her at night.
We'll give it to her.
Thank you very much.
Now, look, we saw also in there the dramatic ups and downs of your time with Lisa. Still in contact, you two, or is that just absolutely kaput, and how are you feeling about all of that?
Well, look, it's a matter really in the family law court, and I can't really get into that. But I do cover the fact that we're separated in the book, because it would be, you know, a terrible thing to leave out of your biography, to miss such a thing. But, you know, life goes on, and lots of people watching would be aware of all of the things that you go through where separation and divorce, and especially when you have small children, is concerned. So I have to pretty much leave that aspect of that. But I encourage you, if you think you know anything about me, reading the book will probably turn that around. Because as we know these days, everything you find out about people is in 2 sentences on Twitter or a little Facebook post, and even what you read in the newspapers really doesn't necessarily have context and perspective. And the thing which I most liked about the opportunity to write this book was being able to put things in context, in perspective, in sequence, so there is understanding. Once upon a time we learned and found out everything we found out from books. These days it's a 10-second news grab or 2 lines on Facebook. Books, of course, is where you will get information, and to be informed is such an important thing.
Yeah. Well, the book, the memoir Before You Judge Me, without a personal message, but it is on sale in bookstores.
They say all good bookstores, and of course online. Just Google David Oldfield book.
And David, we've got a surprise for you. Pauline's actually joining us.
Is she?
today.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
No, she's not really.
Oh,
Just thought we'd test you out, see how the nerves were going.
Oh, I have no nerves where Pauline's concerned. I'm quite happy to meet her on any day. I'd even have a kiss on the cheek for her. She might not like it, but you know.
Okay. All right. Well, we thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Always cutting through, speaking like it is.